So one of the biggest stories in investing and trading right now are these IPOs coming up from SpaceX, OpenAI, and Anthropic, and whether they're going to be the top of the stock market because of how big they're going to be. SpaceX is opening up at $2 trillion alone. And because so many people are talking about these, they're actually pretty fun to trade. And I've been doing them on a site called Hyperliquid. So today I'm going to go over what Hyperliquid is, how you can actually trade these before the IPO goes off, and also why I like trading specifically on Hyperliquid over other perps exchanges. So if you're new to the channel, I'm the prediction engineer. I use AI to trade on prediction markets, perps, and stock platforms. And I use AI to do it, and I share my lessons and failures along the way. The platform that I've been using my bots on the most, either crypto or stocks, has been Hyperliquid. And if you don't know what Hyperliquid is, it's a perpetuals exchange that looks like this. This is the oil listing. But you can basically trade anything you want on it. They have everything popular from oil to crypto to traditional stocks to different ETFs. They have everything. The reason why I like it the most is because it's very easy to use bots to buy and sell in DCA in. So for example, on this is one of my accounts, and I trade oil on this one. And I've had the thesis that with the Iran war going on, oil will probably trade sideways and not go down a super ton. And so I've been buying the dip on oil and then selling it when it goes up, which is good because if you know anything about the Trump-Iran ceasefires, there's been a bunch of them now, and every time there's random announcements that come out from Trump, it pumps or dumps oil, and basically it's just been going sideways for the last 2 months. But they also have the pre-IPO stocks as well, which is a very cool, unique thing that a lot of the other platforms don't have. So for example, this is Anthropic, you could trade on here, you could trade SpaceX, and then you could trade OpenAI as well. And there's a lot of liquidity. So these are some slides that Claude put together, but as far as what Hyperliquid actually is, if you don't know what it is fully, it's a fully on-chain central limit order book perpetuals exchange. It's one of the biggest cryptos at this point. I think it's got to be in the top 5. Hype had a crazy run from about $40 to $60 in the last week as different big groups have been pushing it, including what I think is the biggest, which is the Bitwise ETF, actually buying it over the last week. But anyways, the very popular exchange amongst crypto people, and now it's actually taking over a lot of volume from TradFi instruments like oil. And when silver was going crazy, it was doing a ridiculous amount of silver as well. And so why people trade on it? The execution is extremely good. In terms of things like from the technical side, they had some issues with the 1010 major dump, but again, like most exchanges did. But for the most part, it's exceptional at their execution from the tech side. There's also no KYC. It's got really deep liquidity, especially on stuff you really care about to trade, like oil and things like that. And then it also has a ton of listings. So it even has like the pre-IPOs. And so here's another more technical breakdown if you want that. But the gist is that it's a very popular perps exchange that now lists these very fun to trade pre-IPOs and popular assets that just have a lot of attention on them, like oil or things like silver and gold. So there's also lots of the tokenomics, but you can look that up. And also, it's a perps exchange, so there is a lot of risk around trading with leverage. So that's going to be a totally separate video, but obviously not financial advice. And make sure this is just about the platform itself, and make sure if you are going to trade on this, you know what perps platforms actually are and leverage, because it's not the same thing whatsoever as holding spot, and there are a lot of risks around funding and liquidations and things you have to be careful. So as far as why I specifically trade on Hyperliquid, I really like it for a couple of reasons. First off, if you're running bots or AI agents, it is really easy to get any bot code working. That's because they publicly document their code, and Claude Code and Codex and all the random LLMs you could be using all have access to those docs, and people have written a billion bots already with them. And so like if you want to get your own one that DCAs into SpaceX's stock pre-IPO, you could do that very easily in like literally an afternoon. So also their SDK is super easy to use. They have one account. You literally just give it the private key, and then it starts doing whatever you want it to do. So all those things are super good. And like I said, if you have Codex or Claude Code, very easy to spin up your own bot. Another reason why I like trading on it is the liquidity is so good. Like huge liquidity on most assets, unless you're talking about like very small assets, and even then you're probably fine. Another reason why I like trading on them is because they have so many different assets in general. So if we go over to Hyperliquid, there's a ridiculous amount of them here. Like if you go to HIP3, you'll see a lot of the more traditional assets that people are obsessed with right now. Like you have Micron going up crazy, DRAM, the semiconductor ETF, and then they have like AMD, EY, uranium. They have even power-based things, USAR. And that's not even counting for obviously all the cryptos, because Hyperliquid started out mainly as a crypto Perps Exchange, although now they have all these cool things you could trade. Okay, and lastly, the reason why I really like doing Hyperliquid as well is because there's so many random edges you can do. Like this thing just listed a couple, but like if you go over to Samsung, for example, and I didn't do this one, but this is something I'm interested in botting. You could see here yesterday, it actually had a major wick down, and I think someone got liquidated. I think that's why it did that. But and then it just V-reversed back up. So you have to be careful with these, like I said, with the perps and leverage part. But if you had set limit orders here, you would have had a quick like 20% up. So you, again, like I said, you have to be very careful with the leverage because someone got probably liquidated down here because I think it was artificial. But you would have had a quick 20% up, which is, you could put a lot of liquidity in there because this thing did how much millions in volume? It did about 10 million, 9 million in the last 24 hours. So you definitely could have gotten a lot of fills there and made a quick buck on just that. So there's tons of edge you could be doing with these things. Also, when things get listed, there's also a wide spread. And so, for example, on Cerebras, I had a ton of botting of things. So if we go back to the 1 hour, and I wish I would just held it instead of doing that, but it is what it is. And you can see here I also bought the volatility as well, DCA and then sell on pumps. But before it IPO'd, because I was going on vacation and didn't want to babysit it, I actually just let it trade the volatility, and I made a lot by just doing that because the spread was high and people were pushing the price up and down. And so there's infinite random little edges you can do to make money on Hyperliquid. Okay, so back to the pre-IPOs, there is obviously three that are huge, and the Cerebras one was the one that just went off, and now is obviously already on the stock exchange. So the pre-IPO ones you could buy right now and that have a lot of volatility to trade are SpaceX, which is sitting around $2 trillion, Anthropic, which is I don't trade it on this account, but I trade it on my other account. And again, one of them I wish I would just held because this thing is up about 280% since it got listed on here. And then also OpenAI. So if you go to OpenAI, I think this is up pretty good too since it got listed. So all these things have a lot of volume. This one has about $1 million of volume. SpaceX has $14 million of volume. And I actually think SpaceX is going to be a wild launch. And so I'm very curious to see how that works because I think it's going to be super volatile, especially on something like Hyperliquid. You never know where people are going to push the price. So as far as how to get started on this, you literally could just go to Claude Code or Codex today and say, make me a Hyperliquid bot that DCAs into OpenAI every time it goes down 5%. And it will mostly get a working bot for you, probably take 30 minutes to an hour. All you do is you go on Hyperliquid, you deposit money into the account, and then you take the private key from that wallet, save it locally, and then ask one of the LLMs to write code for you, and you can do that. And that's what I do. I love using Hyperliquid for that because it allows you to DCA into assets over time because, like, let's say even back to oil, I mean, there's so much volatility in oil, it's nuts. So overall, Hyperliquid is great because A, it's easy to write bots for it and use AI tools. B, it allows you to invest in these things without having just to straight up buy at a level that is not good for you. And then C, you get fun assets to trade all day, and there's always new listings on Hyperliquid to look out for and new IPOs, especially around all these AI-related plays. And so that's it for today's episode. I'll do a bigger deep dive at some point into Hyperliquid, but definitely if you're a trader or you're looking to buy some of these assets that have just been going crazy, obviously, in the stock market, like even look at I think they have the S&P right here. Yeah, so they have the S&P, and obviously the S&P has just been on a crazy tear. Not going to last like this for forever, but the rotations, I think, will continue to last, and there will definitely be assets that outperform. And so definitely fun times for volatile traders. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys use Hyperliquid? Do you guys use different perp exchange like Lighter or any of the other ones? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.